Who was she? That is the question Irish investigators have been trying to answer for years. On a cold day in January 2021, construction workers clearing an overgrown area beside the Midleton to Youghal Greenway in County Cork uncovered a human skeletal remain. The location was just off the Shanty Path, Roxborough, a place that had been used as an illegal dumping ground for many years. What began as routine construction work suddenly became one of Ireland's most unusual unidentified person investigation. Investigators now believe the woman had actually died decades earlier, sometimes between 1985 and 1987. Nearly 40 years later, nobody knows her name. And despite modern DNA technology, facial reconstruction, and repeated public appeals, she remains a mystery. According to guards, the remain belongs to a woman believed to have been over 70 years old when she died. Scientific examinations estimated that she stood between 5 feet and 5 feet 2 inches tall and had a large frame. Investigators also determined that she suffered from osteoarthritis and wore dentures believed to have been made during the 1960s. The details suggest she had lived a long life before disappearing from history. Yet, despite these distinctive characteristics, investigators have never matched her to a missing person report in Ireland. The question then becomes even more puzzling. If she lived long enough to reach old age, why did nobody report her missing? The remains were discovered on January 5, 2021. Workers were clearing vegetation with heavy machinery near the old railway line. The area was heavily overgrown and had not been accessible as public walkway. According to guards, it has also been used as a legal dumping site for years. During the clearing operation, the workers uncovered skeletal remains and immediately alerted authorities. From that moment, what appeared to be an ordinary construction site became an active crime investigation. Investigators carry out a full post-mortem examination. Carbon dating isotope analysis indicated that the woman most likely died between 1985 and 1987. The isotope testing also suggested she had a healthy diet that regularly included meat and fish. When her remains were found, she was wearing a faded white upper garment and a distinctive pattern dress, all-night dress buttoned all the way to the collar. Guards also believe a pair of brown leather shoes found with the remains may belong to her. The shoes were unusually small, around a size 2, and the investigator believed they may have been privately made, possibly in the Cork City area. There were no random details. They were some of the strongest clues investigators had. DNA was successfully recovered from the remains, but when investigators compare it against Ireland National DNA Database, no match was found. The profile was then entered into national and European DNA databases, and an Interpol Black Notice was issued in an effort to identify the woman internationally. Guards also worked with Garda National Missing Persons Unit. Missing person files were reviewed, house-to-house inquiries were carried out, and members of the public even volunteered DNA samples. None produced an identification. Despite every modern investigative tool available, the woman remained unknown. Investigators then turned to forensic art. Dr. Mitchell Vitale of Penn West University worked with an art sketch artist to study the woman's skull and dentures. Using forensic facial reconstruction techniques, she produced illustrations showing what the unidentified woman may have looked like during her lifetime. These images were released publicly in the hope that someone would recognize her. Years later, updates reconstruction images were released again following an appeal on RTE Prime Call in June 2026. Guards hoped that a fresh look at the image would finally trigger someone's memory. Unlike many investigations, this case has never produced an official suspect. Guards have not announced any arrests or identified any person responsible for the woman's death. Instead, the focus has remained on identifying her. Investigators continue to believe that someone may remember an elderly woman who disappeared during the mid-1980s or recognize the distinctive clothing or handmade shoes recovered with the remains. Their public message has remained consistent. Someone knows who she was. The confirmed evidence tells us several things. The woman was elderly. She died sometime between 1985 and 1987. Her remains remained undiscovered for decades in isolated dumping area. Her DNA has not matched any known missing person. Her clothing, dentures, and footwear have all been carefully examined by investigators. One possible interpretation is that she was never officially reported missing, or that any report made decades ago contained too little information to connect with modern forensic evidence. This is not a proven conclusion. To strengthen that theory, investigators would need new witness information, historical records, or a successful DNA identification linking her to a family. The investigation remains open. In June 2026, guards renewed their appeal after releasing updates facial reconstruction images. They continue asking the public to study the images and think back to the mid-1980s. Even the smallest piece of information could help identify the woman and finally notify any surviving relatives. After years of investigation, the greatest mystery is no longer only how she died, it is who she was. For nearly 40 years, this woman has had no name. She survived long enough to reach old age. She wore carefully made dentures. She had distinctive clothing. Someone once knew her. Someone may have shared meals with her, spoken with her, or wondered where she had gone. Today, investigators are still searching for that one missing connection. The biggest unanswered question is also the simplest. Who was the woman found beside the old railway, and why had nobody been able to bring her name home?